me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc, where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Parks and Recreation is the most unique profession because you touch lives from birth to, elders. So like parks can be a part of someone's life. Like it is the park that the kid is playing on from day one. It is the senior day trip that your great grandma is taking to enrich her life, or the rec facility that someone is, getting in shape at. I think if you want to have a meaningful career in local government, Parks and Rec is probably the best way to touch lives.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. Today we're heading to small town North Carolina to shine a light on one of the most important and often overlooked perspectives in our industry. Joining us is Jill Sellers, Parks and Recreation Director for the town of China Grove. Jill grew up right in this community, left to study kinesiology, and came back home to build programs and parks that touch every corner of local life. She's also pursuing her PhD, researching something every parent and professional should care about: how risk and play shapes childhood development and confidence. In this conversation, Jill shares what it's like to wear every hat in a small town department, from managing events and budgets to sitting down weekly with her mayor. We'll also dig into what it means to balance history, tradition, and growth while building the future of parks and recreation. So whether you're from a big city or a town of 5,000, Jill's story is packed with lessons for leaders everywhere. Let's dive in. All right, this is Craig LeBlanc, the doorman with the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series, and I've got Jill Sellers from China Grove, North Carolina, with us today. How are you doing, Jill?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, and we've got some great topics to cover that she can speak on almost at a PhD level, because she's pursuing her PhD. So this is what she's writing her thesis in, and it's just really good stuff. So, but before we get started with that, we made a gift for the Parks and Rec community, and it really helps. After listening to all the answers that you have given after 240 episodes, as a testimony to why you would want to dedicate your life to this if you're speaking to college kids, this is what we came up with after hearing and listening to all of your answers. So this is a gift from the Daily Parks and Rec Show to everyone in Parks and Recreation. You're welcome to share this with anyone that may be considering working in Parks and Recreation, and maybe this helps y'all plant that seed. So here we go. Every career is a choice, but few careers let you touch lives. Not once in a while, but every single day. Step into a park on a Saturday morning. You'll hear children laughing on the soccer field, families gathering for a picnic, seniors walking the trails, finding health and friendship. And behind every smile, every memory, is a Parks and Rec professional. We don't just mow fields, we grow confidence in young athletes. We don't just build playgrounds, we create safe spaces where childhood thrives. We don't just plan events, we design moments that anchor generations. Think of the coach who teaches patience, the director who champions equity, the staff member who sees potential in a child no one else believed in. Every day, Parks and Rec professionals shape character, preserve beauty, and strengthen community. And the path isn't easy. Budgets are tight, resources stretched thin, but the reward, unmatched. Because what you give comes back in legacy, in healthier communities, in lives forever changed. So why dedicate your life to Parks and Recreation? Because here, your work never ends. It lives on, in laughter echoing across playgrounds, in green spaces preserved for the next century, in the young professionals rising to lead tomorrow. This is not just a career, it's a calling, it's a legacy, It's Parks and Recreation, a message from the Parks and Rec community. All right. So hopefully on the back of that video, the Parks and Rec Professionals of America can go recruit the next wave of young people into this fantastic industry. And for those vendors that would love to help us co-create even more content for the Parks and Rec industry, we are now accepting strategic partners that are willing to help us create evergreen content that will exist on our YouTube library. By the way, that video is on YouTube, so if you'd like to get access to it, we don't copyright it or nothing. It's, like I said, it's a gift to y'all, so you can see that along with this video that we're recording with Jill and all others. But if you would like to help us co-create more weekly and monthly content for the Parks and Rec industry, please reach out to me and we'd love to kind of collaborate. And we made a little promo for y'all as well, and then we'll come back and talk with Jill. At DPRS Media Co., we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of Parks and Rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, Youth Sports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS Media Co. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together. All right, so Jill, let's tell everybody in America who you are, where you came from, and even as a child, were you involved in Parks and Rec as a child coming in?
Yeah. So I'm not your typical like lifeguard turned Parks and Rec professional like some people, but yeah, I did grow up like doing youth sports and visiting parks, and so I work for the town of China Grove, and I'm from China Grove. This is my hometown. So growing up, like I lived on like a big piece of land. I didn't live in a neighborhood. I didn't have that part of life, I guess. And so like growing up, I loved like all the little field trips when we would go to local parks, and it felt like a big like thing just to go to a park. And I thought I wanted to be in the medical field until I found out I didn't like the sight of blood.
Not good if you want to be in the medical field.
So I kind of pivoted to like physiology and like exercise kinesiology. And when I heard a speaker in college talk about Parks and Recreation as a career, I was like, wow, that sounds like everything I've loved for like my entire life. It still gets to like kind of help people be healthy without, like operating on them or anything. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I fell into Parks and Recreation.
You seem like one of those students that did well in school. Were you one of those straight A students that ruined the curve for the rest of us?
Yeah, I love school, still do, always love school, like wanted to go to school every day. And that's why I just started back at school for my PhD, just because I like was not done. I just wanted to learn more and
Keep learning. And now you're actually helping to create, and I've written some articles. I think you gave one of our articles to our newsletter, correct?
yes, yeah, that was fun. I shared the article that I wrote for my just like application into the school, graduate school. And it kind of talks about why playgrounds are an important piece of child development with risk taking, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to base my thesis on for my PhD.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and we can come back to your story, but I really want to cover that and make sure we give it enough time because it's such an important topic. And because you've done such a deep dive, you can really help give a lot of the explanation as to in early childhood development, how important it is to take a risk. So maybe you can give a brief overview of what your framework or idea was for what you're working on now.
Yeah, so like I think if you think back to like 30 or 40 years ago and you even like maybe see like pictures of old playgrounds and it's like the big metal slides and like just a big metal structure, and it was kind of like the early recess era where they were like, okay, kids do need to get outside and play during this 8-hour window of school, and they created these playgrounds that were like a little bit dangerous, and people were getting hurt, and then I guess like there's a jump to where people are realizing, okay, people are getting hurt. We need to regulate these better. And then there's like this really strong jump to like a super safe place for people or kids to play. And it's almost too safe where everything is regulated. There's no risk at all involved. That's important. It's important for kids to be safe. We don't want them to fall 40 foot onto concrete. But there is an important piece where the kid needs to have some responsibility in the actions that they take on the playground. And there may be a small risk of injury, but it's not a hazard. It's not something. It's important for the risk to be age appropriate, where the child kind of learns to make a decision on, is it safe for me to make this step across this small opening, or is it safe for me to go down this fireman's pole? And it helps their brains develop into learning body autonomy and just decision making. And it's really important now because we see like these parents that are hovering over their children,
Helicopter moms.
yes. And I have 2 kids. I understand like playgrounds are designed for kids and their families to be on, explore together, but like we don't need to hold our children's hand on every step of the playground. I should have silenced my phone. I'm sorry.
No,
Um, and so yeah, that's so interesting to me on teaching children that risk is important, and teaching parents and families that this playground may look really scary.
mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's okay for the kid to have, be a little bit scared. We need to encourage them and support their self-confidence. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really passionate about that.
Yeah, and I'd love to keep talking about that because I remember when I was working with a boys club and we were doing father-son campouts and stuff, and we had a speaker come in and talked about the 2 psychologies of young girls and young boys, and he gave the example that if a group of young boys comes across a log going across a ditch and it looks kinda scary, the boy that comes across it is now held up as the hero and they wanna follow in his footsteps. But the little girls, if you cross it and you're a little girl, the typical young girl's response was, "You put yourself at risk, and then you could have ruined the whole trip and everything," and they kinda, like, push her out, and he was said, "It's important to notice the psychological differences that a group of little girls and a group of little boys. Now, I know all boys and girls are different, and some girls are very risk tolerant, but how it's important to have these children take risks because life is risky. None of us are getting out here alive, and it's important for us to be able to, in those early childhood developments, like you said, to take risks. And what are some of the playground structures now? Because I'm starting to see some of these playground structures that I'm seeing with these massive climbing nets that if you're scared of heights, you're going to feel that fear, but they've designed them in such a way to where there's really no danger, but you still have a sense of fear. Can you speak on that topic a little bit?
Yeah, and there's a playground nearby here, this area, not in our park district, but that is like one of the big rope structure
Mm,
playgrounds. And so, like, the only solid piece you really see on the playground is the slide down. So, but there's multiple levels of this like rope climbing structure, and when you get up to the top, it's very high. And if you're looking down, yeah, it is scary. And I've been there with my kids so many times, and you hear parents standing around it, and they're like, "This is so dangerous. Why did they put this in?" It's so appealing to kids, but truly, if you look at all the levels of it, the fall height for any given level is not very high. And but the kids don't know that. They don't realize like, oh, I'm not going to fall very far if I do fall. And it teaches their brain to look for those risks that are there. They may get a bump or a scrape if they were to fall to that next level, but it's very unlikely that they do. And the rope structure is teaching them the grasping and the climbing that a typical playground doesn't have.
Mm.
So it is very interesting to like watch from like a professional point of view. Like these parents are very nervous. They think it's dangerous. They're almost like chastising the city for putting it in. Like, why would they do this? But they don't realize like how beneficial it actually is for their kids.
Mm.
And the kids love it. They flock to it and they spend a lot more time on it because it's more open-ended. It's not just climb up the stairs, get on the slide.
Yeah.
It's, climb through this tunnel that's made of rope and climb up this side of it. And it has a lot more open-endedness to it.
Mm. Any idea why? Because it seems like, small children are just, like you said, it's almost like a kid magnet. They almost like taking the little risk and being brave and stuff, but then over time, it seems like we condition ourselves to lose that and be more of this Nerf helicopter. It's all gotta be perfectly safe or no one could ever get hurt and eliminate risk, but what happens, you think, from that early age that helps diminish that?
I think that us as parents and caregivers, we teach our kids to be afraid. And it's okay to be afraid of some things. We want our kid to know, like, don't go to the top of a flight of stairs and try and walk down if you're only 12 months old because you're going to fall.
Mm.
But we also have to try and balance that where we teach the kids how to use the stairs and not just to be afraid of them. And it's kind of like I've heard this metaphor of like, a 6-month-old baby that's just learned how to sit up or crawl, like they see a spider on the floor. They're not afraid of that spider. They only learn to be afraid of it because the mom freaks out, kills the spider, gets the kid away from the spider. So I think we have to kind of condition ourselves to remove that moment of like, oh, be careful, don't fall. Like instead of saying, hey, pay attention to your body, where should you put your foot next for this step? Pay attention to how high you're getting instead of automatically trying to protect the kid from the
Mm.
danger that really, truly in any playground in this, as long as they're using it age appropriately, they're not going to have like a catastrophic injury or
Yeah.
something.
And
Um,
now of all things to pursue a PhD on, what inspired you to was there any event or you just kinda noticed this over time, or where did this idea come from for you?
Yeah, I would say mostly just from my oldest being born and then kind of growing up. And like I said earlier, in my childhood, I lived on a really big piece of property, not in a neighborhood. Going to like a park was not something that like my parents did with me a lot. It was more like special occasions. It was hang out on the property and explore the woods and stuff, which is fine. But being a Parks and Rec professional, I took my kid to a playground like every single opportunity because I enjoy seeing parks and playgrounds and I wanted him to enjoy them too. And yeah, honestly, just starting him getting to play on the playground and learning my space as like a parent of like letting him explore and have open-endedness and really sparked my interest in like how is this crucial in child development.
Yeah. And so where are you at in the progress? You got accepted into the PhD program?
Yeah,
And
and, enrolled in the fall, so I'm just, like, very just briefly getting my feet wet,
yeah.
um, but I'm really excited to learn.
And so is that, online or you attend class or what is that?
Yeah, it's, online program, 100% online with Oklahoma State University, and it's like a health and human studies with, like, a leisure studies option,
Mhm.
um, and I picked that program because it was online because I needed to work full time.
Right.
And it's also a program that is designed to get people ready for like college teaching positions. So I might be jumping ahead, but this is kind of like one of my goals and long term, like maybe even retirement plan is I would love to be in a position where I could be a professor in the future, teaching kind of this stuff.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we definitely need a lot of professors teaching in this profession, in the career of parks and recreation. Now, have you always kind of gravitated more towards educating and studying and I guess producing literature?
Yeah, so my first job out of college was in the school system,
Mm,
um, and I taught, like, a class, it was called a fit lab, and it was a blend between, physical activity and nutrition, not meeting, like, the North Carolina standards for, like, physical education, so I really enjoyed that, I loved being in the school system, but when I got the opportunity in Parks and Rec, it felt like a better fit, but I've always kind of pulled back to, like, wanting to participate in learning in some way.
yeah. And so what is your kinda dream job down the road? Would it just be a professor and teach full time, or would you kinda still do that a little and one foot in parks and recreation, or where do you think you're going with this?
Yeah, I feel like I'll probably take a long time to finish my degree just because I'm a mom and I work full time. So I don't know. I could see myself in 5 years, like maybe having like a little part-time gig, teaching a class or two, and then maybe into retirement, getting into it more full time. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, I love the hands-on still part of like working in Parks and Rec now. So I couldn't see myself leaving that for a while.
Yeah. I remember when I was asked to speak at the LSU School of Business, to young entrepreneurs in their business school, and one of the things some of the professors struggled with is they kinda got away from, running and operating a business, and so it's great to kinda have one foot in the real world and then one foot in teaching so that you can have real world experiences to kinda incorporate into your teaching. And so I think that makes the great professors that are still practitioners of what they're teaching, and you can learn. So how do you think working in Parks and Rec can prepare you, for a teaching career down the road?
Yeah, so when I did my master's degree, it was online also, and it was truly the first time I went to school for parks and recreation specific things. And they have a great program at NC State, and the people who are teaching are phenomenal PhD like researchers, and I got the chance to like do like I'm trying to think of an example. I'm gonna say like an emergency action plan in class. Like I wrote one and it was part of an assignment, and then actually got to apply it to my job in Parks and Recreation at the
Mm,
time because we were going through CAPRA accreditation. And so seeing like that connection to the real world actually felt like meaningful.
mm,
Whenever in the past when I've been in school, it'll be like some made up assignment that doesn't feel applicable at all. It's
mm,
like dissect a frog. And so I don't know. I feel like that those connections are so important so that you can say, hey, students, like this is something that you're going to actually learn how to do here in class in a controlled environment and then apply to like a job in the future.
yeah. Yeah, and it really is important to stay, like a mentor of mine said, don't just like take for instance AI. Don't just hire somebody that's good at AI. Use it yourself, be a practitioner of it, and it helps you have real conversations with the people that might be doing it full time. And I think in this way, if you maintain your job and career as you're learning, you get the best of both worlds. Um, so maybe let's talk about, what did it look like when you were coming out of college and into your first full-time job? What was your first full-time job into Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, so yes, technically my first full-time job was at a recreation center for a large county.
Mhm.
Um, and it was really niche because it was like planning, programming for seniors, which was really fun. It was a lot of learning, but then when I jumped into a mid-level city and I did a lot of kind of everything, like planning special events and, then I did do some senior programming, but also some youth programming and dabbled in a little bit of youth athletics and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, that was my true, like, cut your teeth, learn the different processes of like an operation of Parks and Recreation Department. And even though I only spent 5 years in that city, that really set me up for my job here because I'm a one-man show in this town. It's a small
Mhm.
town. And so I do everything, but I never would have been prepared for that if I hadn't worked in that mid-level city where I did some niche programming, but I also like learned a little bit about the whole
Yeah.
operations.
Now, how big was the team at that first city? Did y'all have like 50 or 100 park
Um,
staff? How big was the department over there?
I think that when I left, there was around 30, 35 full time, and then I'm gonna guess over 100 part time.
Mm,
Um, just because there was a lot of seasonal staff, I mean, which I'm sure is typical. The city was around 50,000 residents. Uh,
mm.
and then I came to this town at the time, 3.5 years ago, was under 5,000 residents.
Wow. Yeah, so
So,
you really have to wear all the hats over there.
yeah. And I thought I was like, big city to small town, that's easy. Like, I can do it. I've been at a big city and it is 10, the decrease in population makes the job 10 times harder.
Yeah. Let's talk about that because we have I create content and I bring on a lot of big city people that are directors of, like 1 million people and they have a Parks and Rec department that services them. But most Parks and Rec departments are like you, 5,000 people. There's one, maybe two people. Maybe there's somebody helping you cut the grass and program, and then that's the whole team. But maybe describe what's it like to work for a mid city, 50,000, 30 people, and then what are all the things you have to do in a small town?
Yeah, like one of the biggest things that I reference is when I was in a big city, like we had someone who covered the front desk for the Parks and Recreation Department. They answered the phones about shelter reservations, programs. So, like, if a phone call came to me, it was very specific about like my job, like a specific question about the program I was planning. Now that I'm at a small town, when the phone rings for the entire town, there's just a couple of us that answer it, and it might be, "When is my garbage getting picked up?" or "Why is my garbage being picked up late?" And it's like a full, like, 180 of, like, just learning about your whole town and the local government, and, like, I worked for 5 years for a big city, and I might have went to 2 or 3 council meetings. The politics of the council rarely influenced anything that I did. My director was amazing. He shielded us, I think, from a lot of that.
Mhm.
Now I'm at every single council meeting. I'm the one kind of interacting directly with council. I have a standing meeting with our mayor once a week just so we can stay in touch. And
Yeah,
it's awesome. I mean, that communication is important in a small town. So I don't know. It's like almost like there's a lot of layers removed when you're in a small town. And it just, I don't know. I think it affects my daily life a whole lot different. Like, I feel like now truly is when I've started like living and breathing Parks and Rec because I feel like I can't ever take off the Parks and Rec face.
yeah.
I mean, it's my hometown. I'm walking around. People,
They
ask me
know
at the
you.
grocery store what's going on with this
Right.
festival. And so it's good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what it comes down to is you have a division of labor when you have a larger department, and you can really go deep and focus on just special events because that's all you do 24/7 is just special events. But in a small town, your special events, your farmers market, your at the committee meetings, council meetings, it's just you have to learn every single hat versus having just maybe 2 hats to wear in a larger city.
Yeah.
Um, what are the
I
maybe you can describe well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, like, it's definitely opened my eyes to, like, how a municipality works, and I know every state is different, and even just region is different for that, but, like, I feel like I've almost got, like, a minor in political science just
Yeah.
from being here in a small town.
Yeah, they definitely involve you in everything. I grew up in a town that size, 5,000 people. Shout out to Port Allen, Louisiana. And, we knew everybody. We knew the mayor, we knew the parks. I mean, it was such a small community that we knew everyone in the government.
even the water meter guy, because we had 2 water meter guys, and it's you really are the face, and it's never, even when you're off of work, people are recognizing you and asking questions about it. That must have been a huge shift as being somewhat of a public figure in your town, huh?
Yeah, it is, because like when I worked for the bigger city, it was a couple cities away from my hometown. So I kind of knew people, but coming here back to my hometown was like everybody's connected. You find out so many more connections that even I didn't know growing up here. And yeah, it's like going in those local restaurants and grocery stores. Everybody knows you. They know your mom. They know the mayor too. So like you better behave. And it is a good thing because it our town, like in our area, is like pretty close knit. So
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll take a little short break. I'm going to play the Youth Sports Mastery promo, because that's our next show. It's literally as soon as this show's over, we got a 20-minute break, and then Youth Sports Mastery starts. And that's a show that we've built. It's a weekly show every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Our host is Aaron Locks, and he's 40 years in the industry of youth sports and has some of the best coaching networks and athletic directors networks. So he does a great job making great content. So I'll play that little promo for that. And then right on the back of that, I'll play our Young Professionals Network, which is for if you are new to the industry or considering getting into the industry, or if you teach in this industry. We have a show every Friday for you. So we'll play those two, and then we'll come right back and finish our conversation with Jill.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content. We elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS Media Co. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec Show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of Parks and Rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors, build your brand, get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network, your career, your community, your story.
So Jill, were you ever involved in YPN coming into Parks and Rec?
Like, I guess not in the one that you just showed, but I have been in like our state organization a little bit.
So tell me about, so I know the Young Professionals Network was started through NRPA, but now many states, and I think it's coming up on a decade. I think it's like 9 years old. But now we have states that have Young Professionals Network just for the state of North Carolina or Texas. And I'd say there's probably 20 states that have on their second, third, or fourth year of running some version of YPN. And you said you were involved in that for North Carolina?
Yeah, they have a call. I believe it's every other month. So I've jumped on that a couple of times just to listen, and I guess I need to maybe do better about getting involved a little bit more. But yeah, we have a really good state organization here, so I try and jump on. We have a women in leadership call. I've been on a couple times, so
Yeah. Oh, well, if you can help me get in touch with the YPN organization for North Carolina, I'd love to host. Maybe you can just do one of their shows live and just do the same thing they always do, but just try to get the word out. Um, and that goes out to anybody listening in YPN for their state. I would love to help promote the work y'all are doing to educate and bring on board the young professionals in the industry. What's some of the best topics you've heard over there?
oh goodness. I think recently, honestly, probably we had a discussion, and I'm trying to remember if it was the YPN or if it was the women one, but we had a discussion about politics in the workplace and like managing the relationship between elected officials. That was really helpful for me, just like kind of what was stirring around here in our town. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of some other examples.
Well, let's talk about the political side because traditionally, your park and rec director is not an elected official. They are appointed or they get the job and they operate right under that elected official population. And they'll usually be there for 30 years, whereas the elected officials will come and go, but they're the bosses because they were elected by the people. And
Yeah.
so, I don't know if you've lived through a transition from one mayor to another, but maybe talk about some of the struggles that you had adapting to this political environment that you're kind of thrown into to keep the elected officials happy.
Yeah, so our town has a mayor manager, I guess, structure. So our town council is elected, and then they appoint a manager. So our manager hires all of the staff.
Mhm.
But just because we are so small, we do deal directly with the council a lot. And in my 3 years here, I've been under two mayors, and council has turned over once. A couple people have remained, but a lot of just big changes. People who have been in office for a long time, kind of like retiring from office. We also had a new town manager in the time that I've been here. So just like everybody has things that are important to them, and none of them are necessarily good or bad, but just like learning what the expectations are from different council members and the manager, and making sure that they still like align with like what's important for Parks and Recreation, but still fulfills like their goals and keeps
Mhm.
them happy. And that's what ultimately is important because they're supposed to represent our citizens. And I think they do. We are small town. So of course the citizens can be very loud. They are open about their opinions, and our council hears them. They do a good job of hearing what they want and trickling it down to us and making sure that we're as staff delivering, I guess, kind of what they
Yeah.
want. But that is a big difference. That was a big change for me. I
Yeah.
didn't feel that strain as much in a big
Now,
city.
what were some of the so since you've had 2 mayors, what were maybe give us an example if you can of where this mayor was kind of focused on this, but then this new mayor, he wants us to do this, and then tell us about how you shift gears from keeping one elected official happy or one council happy, and then this new council wants this, so I gotta kinda shift gears for that.
Yeah, so our mayor that I stepped into with, he was good. I guess I would say I use this example to someone else. He was like the golden retriever mayor, super happy, always positive, but sometimes maybe overpromised a little bit to
Yeah.
the residents. And like our relationship was more formal. I knew who he was, he knew who I was, but we only met once a month at council. Um, and then we got a new mayor. He was a council member that ran for mayor. So I knew him, but he jumped into the role super hands-on, like ready to start fulfilling some of those promises, I think, that maybe had kind of gone on a little bit on the wayside.
Mhm.
So I think I had mentioned earlier, him and I meet now once a week, because we're involved in so much together all the time that we felt like we needed to stay in touch, in between council meetings to say, like, we have this coming up, or here's how we can support each other on whatever. And so we've just recently worked together, like, to secure a couple big sponsorships with corporate sponsors. And honestly, like, that relationship couldn't be better. The mayor is, like, probably one of the biggest supports that I have here in town. And so he kind of helps keep everything flowing, that communication between council and staff.
And so you said you meet with your mayor once a week?
Yeah. Every Tuesday at 2:00, we meet in my office. Sometimes it's 15 minutes just to say everything's going good. This past Tuesday, we hadn't met in 2 weeks. So we met for an hour and a half. And
Mm.
I think it's really positive. It might seem like a little bit over, like, I guess, but it's really helpful, I think, for me to kind of set the level of, like, what is council expecting from my department right now, and he communicates that to me, without being overbearing.
So what's kind of the structure of this 15 to 1 hour minute meeting? If you maybe you could just highlight the structure of it so that other maybe mayor and um, director of recreations can follow a similar framework.
Yeah, so usually we both come with a list of things, and sometimes it is like, "Hey, we have this luncheon coming up. Just wanted to remind you that we were invited. I know you're getting an award. Here's some speaking points, and here's the people that you need to thank, and how they supported, like, some Parks and Rec initiative recently." But yeah, so usually we both have our list. We kind of go over, like, if I have any concerns or things that are coming up that I want to tell him about. He's really active in our community too. So, like, I'll say, "Hey, I've heard kind of on the gossip side that this is happening." And it helps him be, like, informed a little bit of, like, the public side of things. And then he does the same too for me, like, "Hey, I saw this, like, just want to make you aware. You might want to inadvertently address this." And then he sometimes also will pull in, like, different community members, like, "I've had this community member, she's really engaged in your events. Like, let's sit down with her next week and just brainstorm or get some feedback about the big event that happened last weekend."
Hmm.
So I would say our structure is anything but structure. But the thing that is the same is that we try and make that meeting a priority.
Yeah.
Um, and just be transparent, because sometimes we're closing my office door and, like, being real with each other. And then sometimes it's like, let's walk and talk, and it's more informal. So yeah,
Yeah.
we've developed a really good relationship.
Yeah, communication is key with any organization, whether it's private or public or even personal relationship. If you don't have great communication, that's usually where things start to break down. And so that was his idea.
I'm
Weekly.
gonna take credit for that idea, because he doesn't have an office at our town hall. I know some people do, but he will come in once a day almost. And, like, it was like we would just in passing share information. And it was starting to be like, when am I going to catch up with Rodney next? And I was just like, I think we need to set a time that we just catch up. And literally within 15 minutes, he sent me a reoccurring calendar invite,
Wow.
for our standing meeting. So sometimes, I mean, like I said, sometimes we cancel it, sometimes it's 15 minutes, but
Yeah.
um, it leaves, it helps reduce the miscommunication, because then I mean, not that our manager doesn't stay informed, but it leaves him out of some of the conversations that, like, we don't need another middleman involved.
Right. Right.
And we usually do kind of fill him in every so often, like, "Hey, here's what we're talking about," or "Here's what's going on."
Okay. So I have a little request for you. Imagine you've got a classroom full of directors coming from a medium city to a small city. What tell maybe create some of the landmines. What can you say to prepare them for this shift that you've learned over the last 5 years?
I would say, definitely research who your council are. And I'm going to say, like, be really careful about what you say to who before you find out who they are or how they're connected.
Mhm.
Not that I've like done that or anything, but like, you're like, oh wow, that's your uncle. Like, I'm glad I found that out.
Right.
No, and I don't mean for like all my landmines to be like political because it's not like that. Like, we do have a good council, really supportive, but those have honestly been some of the hardest things for me to learn is like how much they affect everything. And it's budget season, and I need to tell them what I need, and just keeping that communication. But I would say other landmines for a small town, especially like mine, is history and tradition.
Mm.
Because we are an old town, and making sure that you respect the history and tradition, but trying to also educate people that there's a time for growth
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those would probably be my biggest things that I've came across.
So tell the world a little bit about China Grove, North Carolina. What introduce China Grove to the entire Parks and Rec community, the history, the culture of it.
Okay, yeah. So we are 45 minutes north of Charlotte,
Mhm.
and then like about an hour and a half from Raleigh area also. So we're right along the 85 corridor, which is really important to say because without the interstate corridor that comes through our town, we would not have any growth, but our growth is centralized around that.
Mm.
Like I said, when I started, we were under 5,000 residents. And when I started 3 years ago, our population was going to double within 5 years. And being a town that's been chartered since the 1880s, that's a pretty significant growth to happen in 5 years. I think we're still like charted to reach that 10,000 mark, maybe a little bit longer than the initial 5 years they said. But so our history is farming and agriculture, and we have a 45-year festival centered around farming and agriculture.
Wow. What did
And
y'all farm, or what does the community farm around there?
I probably should know that. I guess like produce, not like apples or anything like that.
Right,
Like
right.
we have a historic roller mill that process like corn and grain and wheat and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's our biggest historical like marker in China Grove.
Yeah.
And we used to also have a train depot in town, and that was put us on kind of like the map a little bit because the train stopped in China Grove. People used to get off and rest at this train depot. That's how the town was named, because of a grove of Chinaberry trees.
I was getting ready to ask that. Where does it get its name from?
Yeah, we're not the town that the Doobie Brothers like wrote a song about. That town is in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. I would say the culture here is Southern small town. Who knows your parents and what church do you go to?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but definitely centralized around like some recent growth too. So
Yeah. Any festival so tell us about that festival that you have. As you said, it's a 45-year tradition?
yeah, this in 2026 we'll celebrate the 45th year. It's called Farmers Day, and it's in the middle of July, which is the hottest week of the year. And it's a street festival. It used to be about getting the local farmers to come and sell their produce. Of course, now it's transitioned to music and crafts and like kids entertainment, but we still try and highlight the roots of agriculture. And actually, this afternoon, I have a meeting with the mayor to talk about our 45th year and how we're going to kind of blow it out big.
Yeah. So how was this last one that just recently happened in July? How did it go?
Yeah, it was good. We had a controversial streetscape on our main street happen that finished the week before Farmers Day. So we saw like a lot of comments like that we weren't going to be ready for Farmers Day. We changed how we laid out our vendors this year, but it turned out that the streetscape got done. It looks beautiful. the way we changed our vendors, everyone loved it. So yeah, it was really successful. There's a big tractor parade. We had about 50 tractors participate this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How many people did y'all get to attend? How many vendors attended?
Yeah, we have our main street is only about 4 blocks, one stoplight. So we have about 150 vendors,
Oh, wow.
and we did like a AI data grab, and it's a 2-day festival. So our Friday is a big concert, and we had around 3,500, and then the Saturday, the big day of the festival, around 5,000. So definitely not big by a lot of people's standards, but for us, yeah, it's still big. Biggest thing.
Yeah, we did something similar in Fort Allen. We're big into sugarcane down here, so we had the Sugar Festival, and it sounds exactly like it. We just had lots of booths, lots of arts and crafts, bands and stuff. But for a town of 5,000 people, it was a big deal. What was it like coming into this old special event? And then now you've run it for how many years?
Yeah, so when I started here in 2022, I started 6 weeks before the festival, and they had been without a coordinator since April of that year. So I like jumped into it. So this was my 4th year attending, or not attending, because I grew up coming to the festival and seeing it from the public side. Coming into it, I thought I knew exactly what the festival was about because I grew up coming here. I know these people. And then as soon as I jumped into the backside of planning it, I was blown away. I didn't know anything about this festival. I learned so much about the history, and it was really big shock to the system. Maybe not that first year because they did kind of have it planned, but that second year when I planned it all myself, I was like, wow, there's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of tradition and history and culture that I can't mess with, and it was interesting. But it's been really fun. I love getting to say like that I have a part in planning like such a iconic festival for this area, being that it's my hometown and going into like my 5th year of planning it. It's pretty special because there's only like a select group of people here in town that have got to say that they did that.
Yeah. Now, what does your team look like when it comes to planning that? Are you officially like the head of it, or is there somebody that kind of you report to, or so you have to manage the whole thing start to finish? And what
Yeah.
describe your team?
Yeah, so I plan the festival. I'm kind of the point for pretty much the entire festival. We have like a couple longstanding volunteers that plan, like, kind of gather the tractors. And other than that, like, it's pretty much just me getting it ready. But our admin team here in the town comes together to make it happen day of. And then my like maintenance staff is not in Parks and Recreation. We have Public Works Department. They help maintain the trash and the streets and stuff like that. It truly is probably the only day in this town where every staff member for the entire town works at
All
one
hands
time.
on deck.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's pretty good. Like, it's pretty, I think, interesting to have like you're working alongside the police chief and the finance director just to make a little festival happen. That's pretty unique because it's not just like Parks and Rec people with, support staff. It truly is the whole town comes together to make it happen.
Now, after this many years of running it, they say hindsight's 2020. What have you learned? Is there anything you would have done a little differently now that you have these under your belt?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I went into it with like, I'm gonna change all this stuff because X, Y, and Z to me isn't working. And then so we had kind of a year where I feel like there was a lot of changes. And then honestly, some of my hindsight is make your changes slower. Don't make so many changes at once. Truly, I should have experienced the festival from start to finish first without making any changes. So this year, or this coming up year, 2026, like our goal is to have a theme of like back to our roots and kind of back up a little bit, even on stuff that other people had changed before me, to bring it back a little bit more to tradition. But honestly, I think like ask questions to the people who, if you can access them, who know the history of stuff like this, because it is so important to like our town that certain things remain at least somewhat the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, anything as far as maybe tell us about the, and we can look at this at a similar framework. Let's say you're a new director to a town, you've got a big legacy event. Um, what's some kind of 101 you would want to give to somebody? Kind of like you said, take your time with your changes. Anything else you want to add to that if you're helping to educate a new a small town director on how to run that legacy festival?
Yeah, I would say again, kind of lean on those people who have done it for a long time. Don't feel like you have to do everything the same. And I don't think you always have to listen to the we've always done it this way, because it's okay to not do everything the same, but kind of know your audience and find out what things are important to them to
Mm.
keep the same, and then figure out how you can modernize them or make them better. But I don't know. I think definitely just making your changes slowly and purposefully. Like sometimes change for the sake of change is not always a good thing.
Right. What were some of those changes that you made that were good? And then what were some of those that you're like, maybe I should have waited on this one, or no, we're going to go back to the other direction?
Yeah, so I'll give a really interesting example. So when I came here, there's a festival T-shirt. The year I came, the T-shirt was already designed and ordered and all that, and it was one design, but it was on about 8 or 9 different color T-shirts. So like you could get any color of the rainbow T-shirt, and it was so hard to inventory and keep up with what size are in orange and what size are purple, and who's getting what. So then the next year I was like, we've got to tone this down to one color.
Yeah.
And the public was like, what, one color? Like we're so used to getting to pick like from a whole assortment. So the next year we were like, okay, one design, 2 colors. That seemed like the perfect middle ground to keep people happy. For some reason this year we got a wild hair and we did 2 designs. They were on the same color T-shirt. One was modern, one was more traditional. And when I tell you people lost their mind about that, I've never heard so much controversy about a festival T-shirt. Um, so next year we are going to do one design. We'll give them a couple options of T-shirt colors. We are going to make sure we ask the right people what they think.
Yeah.
And yeah, that has been probably interestingly enough, like at least it's just a T-shirt
Yeah.
but finding out how important these T-shirts are to people, there's people out here that own all 45 or 44 T-shirts.
Wow.
Yeah, and so even at one point I was like, why do we need a T-shirt? Like,
Oh, you would have got crucified if you'd have
yeah,
X'd the T-shirt.
yeah. So like just knowing the audience, like, okay, these T-shirts are really important to people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that was an amazing interview. I can't believe we're already at the end of the hour, but I have 2 questions for you. One is for the industry. If you are in front of a classroom of undecided young professionals or students or even part-timers, what is the testimony or even sales pitch you would give to dedicate your life to the Parks and Rec industry?
Oh gosh. I think that Parks and Recreation is the most unique profession because you touch lives from birth to, elders, and in every single way possible. Like I feel like parks can be a part of someone's life. Like it is the park that the kid is playing on from day one. It is the senior day trip that your great grandma is taking to enrich her life, or the rec facility that someone is, getting in shape at. So yeah, I think if you want to like have a meaningful career in local government, like Parks and Rec is probably the best way to touch lives.
Oh, fantastic. Great answer. Okay, now I have another question, and so you'll have to come up with a question too. But this question comes from Jonathan Penn, AKA JP. He is the executive director of Henry County, Georgia, and has an amazing team over there. And so the question he left for you, Jill, is if you could create the world of your dreams, what would that look like?
The world.
That was a
Gosh,
good one.
I would say there would be a world where there were no politics. Everyone was happy and just like positive and like open-minded about everything. And I would say perfect world, there would be a park on every corner, but it would be every corner would have a different type of park. So everybody's, style would be covered and access levels and needs. And I would say it would kind of be like this island in North Carolina. It's called Bald Head Island. There's no cars. Everybody walks and bikes and golf carts around, and yeah, so it would be like close knit, tight family.
Wow. Yeah, well, if you create that that community, I might end up moving there. That sounds like a beautiful place to live. Okay, so what question would you like to leave for our next guest?
Oh gosh, I feel like I should have done some homework. I think my question would be is what is something you want to learn more about to broaden your scope for your career?
More about to broaden your scope for your career?
Yes.
What is your answer for that one?
Well, I would say I would learn more about the maintenance side of facilities and parks, just because I've always done programming, special events. And now that I take care of 5 parks and a building, I wish I had like a little crash course in like this side of things.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to solve that problem for you. We have a show that we try to run it Monday through Thursday, 10:30 a.m. and it's all about facilities maintenance, maintaining parks and stuff. And we've had some really good superintendents. Shout out to Brian Dixon, also at Henry County. And so then hopefully we create a content library for people like yourself that just want to learn more about that side of the equation, because you can run an aquatic center forever. It doesn't teach you how to maintain the playgrounds and the lawns and the green spaces. And but there are some amazing professionals that have been doing this for decades. So we're hoping to get them on our show and create something that you could just go on our YouTube channel and just press play and learn all about maintaining parks facilities.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And I definitely want to stay in touch and learn more about how this PhD thesis is coming along. And so glad to have you as a writer for our weekly newsletter. If you ever have an article that you'd like to put out there, please stay in touch. And we'd love to highlight anything that you write. And the date, what is it called? The weekly post goes out every Sunday, 5 a.m.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yep. Thanks for coming on the show and have a great rest of your week.
You as well. Thanks.
Take care, Joe.
Bye.
All right. So that was, I love creating content for the small towns, because really that is the majority of Parks and Rec departments are small towns. And so I think it's important that we do create content and have people like Jill on here that have to wear every hat, having weekly meetings with your Park and Rec, with your mayor and your elected officials, and really can't hide in their communities because everybody knows you when you're in a town of 5,000 people and you're running the Parks Department. But at the same time, if you want to learn about all the basic moving parts of a park system or even a municipal government or a town, I think there's no better education than working for a small town where you have to wear all the hats. And that can really prepare you to run much larger towns, because there's almost not a part of the town that you're not going to have exposed to. So you essentially on day one, here's all the hats of the entire Parks and Rec department and maybe even a few more. And so that's a great place to educate yourself, a real world, real-time education versus it being all in theory or being cut off from some section of Parks and Rec that you might not get exposed to in a larger community where you can focus on maybe just special events or just aquatics or just programming sports or something like that. So shout out to all of those Park and Rec directors. managing and building community in small towns. Y'all really do make these small towns special. And I grew up in a small town, and I knew my park and rec director, knew the mayor, knew the city manager. We knew pretty much everybody. And we had some great, great people. Shout out to Mr. Barry Brewer, who was the city manager for like 40 years before he retired. I'm assuming he's still kicking, but a good friend of our family, lives not too far from us. But okay, so I'm going to play a little promo on facilities maintenance, and then I have a couple little things to announce.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of parks and recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co., where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job, it's purpose, it's passion, and now it's a show. Facility Maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy.
All right, so we are still working hard to try to create a consistent show at 10:30 Monday through Thursday on facilities maintenance. It turned out to be a much harder lift because, as it turns out, people in maintenance don't like to talk live online to the same degree that directors of Parks and Rec across America. So it is a little bit harder to get them on stage and stuff, but we've had some really good ones on there, still working on that. And as we're bringing on these strategic partners, funding is opening up so that we can expand our show hosts, we can expand our shows, we'll be creating much more content. So shout out to all the vendors that are partnering with us. Without y'all's financial support, without the wisdom that y'all have and that y'all bring to the market, many of these vendors have been serving the Parks and Rec community for decades. And the amount of wisdom that they have is amazing in their little niches, whether it be on aquatics, whether it be on lawn maintenance or technology and software. And so we are creating with Outdoor Link a smart city show. That'll be one of our next shows coming up here in the next week or so. We are also creating a esports in Parks and Rec show that's going to be on Saturday. Now, that's not necessarily going to be a show. It's where we're actually going to create an esports league for Parks and Rec, the esports little facilities and departments that we have inside of that are popping up everywhere across America. So now they'll be able to compete with other Parks and Rec departments in esports, and we're going to make it like a little Saturday ritual where Saturday 2 to 5 Eastern, it's this city versus this city in esports, and we can kind of help connect the cities in that way through esports, which is exploding. And esports is, I think, is important for those kids that might not be the most athletic kids. This is how they socialize. This is how they kind of, play games with each other online, and it's a way that the Parks and Rec community can serve that part of their population. And so that's coming out soon, along with a few others. Now, we are attending the NRPA convention. I will be interviewing people from 9 in the morning to about 4 in the evening, doing about 15, 20-minute interviews, doing about 15 interviews a day. Monday and Tuesday, I think, is almost completely booked. We still have a few slots open for Wednesday. So if you'd like to hop into an interview with me while I'm at the Parks and Rec, the NRPA convention coming up here in Orlando, please reach out to me here on LinkedIn. We'd love to have you as a guest on the show, just to tell us a little bit about what you're doing, how you're enjoying the convention. And we're opening up to vendors, directors. We have a few people coming on through YPN. And so got a lot of good stuff planned for that. So hopefully everybody's planning their trip. We will see y'all there in just a few short weeks. And again, if you see us out there recording, catch us between breaks. You can say hello to me or whoever else is working the stage with us. Love to meet y'all in person. Even if you don't want to come online, I'd love to just shake your hand, snap a picture, and just get to meet the community in person, because I've met so many of you online and built great relationships, but it's just nothing like doing in-person stuff. And thank you so much to NRPA. Shout out to all the work that they've been doing for quite a long time. They do great events. And if you've never been to an NRPA event, it's definitely worth your time and money. Even if you have to find a way to get there on your own, paying it for yourself, you won't regret it. The people you'll meet, the network, and you get to really experience the spirit of almost like a movement within our country that's dedicating their life to parks and recreation. And I think you can see that and experience it at a higher level than anywhere else when you attend the national event that NRPA puts on each year. So thank y'all so much for all of you that are working tirelessly to put on this event, showing up in get ready to happen in a couple of weeks. So we will see y'all there. This is again Craig LeBlanc, the doorman, signing off with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. And stay tuned. In about a few short minutes, we will be starting the Youth Sports Mastery Show with host Aaron Locke. So see y'all there in a minute. Thanks. Love you guys. Bye.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.